here we are again, same scene, nothing changed, except I added this clear coat that I will use just to cut down on the tutorial time. You can see it's completely the same. It has 95% transparency, it's completely reflective, and it has a really small height here. 0.1 or 0.2 is usually enough, and the texture is color. So completely the same we used in previous examples. Here I want to build a bubble. To be more specific, a soap bubble, because soap bubble has well, you can see all kinds of different colorization, and it's completely transparent and has a very thin attribute to it. So we have to find a way to build that. So I'll start a new material, rename it bubble, and naturally I want to apply it to my object, and here it is now. Let me just arrange this. I love when stuff is really neat. And always search for the most prominent feature of the material. In this case, this is the transparency. It's really transparent. It's completely transparent. So if I do a preview render now, you will see I have problem. And the problem is, if I cut down this brightness, let's say something like 90, I really will get problems because I really want it to be completely transparent. And if I increase this refraction number to something like 1.5, then my bubble won't be looking like a bubble. It will look more like a glass. And I want to leave this refraction value to 1, simply to preserve that thin appearance. The only thing that I can do, which works really nice sometimes, is to use a slightly lower white color here. So here I will just, instead of 100%, I will just use a really high percentage, but something that is not quite 100. Let's try 95, which is exactly as 242. And this could work because now I have completely transparent surface. I have a refraction that is set to 1. It means it will not interfere with the appearance, and it will give really thin look. And this is actually the best thing I could do, really, to lower this to 95 or 97 or something like this. But I find this 95 value is really good. So again, as it is completely transparent, it's really completely reflective. And if we activate reflection here, we'll get somewhat results, but we will lose quality here around it. That is really problematic. That is why I want to use this clear coat later, just to add that layer of reflectivity. Because if I play now with settings here, and I want to add the texture here, so it has those really swirls of color and stuff like that. Every time that I will be using reflection values here, I will pollute that color and really wash them up, and that is what I don't want to do. These kind of materials, they're perfect candidates for this environment channel. And I want to turn off this exclusive feature, which means that this environment channel will only create additional reflections and mimic this environment only in places where there are no real reflections. And I don't want to do that. I want this environment channel to control this completely. Okay, so it's not limited by this feature. So I will turn it off. And I want to add a gradient here. Okay, so I will create some really interesting colors here. So first I will determine the type, and the type should be here set to 2D radial. Okay, and you will see later why. And I want to add some colors here. So I want to add colors that will define that swirl here. So let's start. I just made this color selection before, prior to recording. So just add a few, just like it's some sort of a spectrum you can see on real bubbles. You can, for example, look it up on the internet, and you will see that there is some sort of this spectrum. Now I want to completely distort this and randomize. So I will crank up this turbulence to 100%. That is the maximum value, and you can see the results that I'm getting. And really to cut down on this detail, I'll drop these octaves to 1. You'll see somewhat different results. It will be, it will have less information on these edges of colors. Now comes the interesting part. I want these swirls only to appear on these outer parts of this sphere, and I want this area here, roughly here, when you look it straight in front, to be completely transparent, because that is the way that real bubbles appear when you look at them in the nature. And for that purpose I have to mix two shaders here, so I will just choose a layer shader now, and to get that effect I have to use a Fresnel shader. And I'll just turn off this so you will see actually what I'm doing. If I load a Fresnel shader here, you will see that I'm able to control where the bright part is and where the dark part is. We talked about this Fresnel shader. It's really useful when you're creating glass or metallic surfaces. So you can really change the reflection based on the angle you are viewing the surface. I want to scale this black area, which means it will be like a transparent area for the bubble. I want to increase it just a bit, let's say somewhere around here, so it's a bit bigger. Okay? So you see this white part? I want these swirls just to appear here in this white part and gradually fade in as they go to a center. To do that, I just have to mix them, and to mix them I will enable them all, and you can see now that Fresnel completely eats that up, and I will just multiply those to see what do I get. And instantly we have a really nice result. Just zoom out a bit so you'll see a little bit more clear. Now, if I enable this clear coat, you'll see I have some additional reflections and stuff around that bubble. You may find this without a clear coat to be more eye-pleasing, but I really prefer this look. The only thing you can now play with, if you want this effect to be more pronounced, to be stronger, to be more emphasized, you would have to increase this brightness value. But you have to be in multiply mode. So for example, in normal mode, let me just demonstrate, it won't work. Let me crank up this really high to 5000 and more. It will do absolutely nothing. So let's go back to 100%, and only way you can crank this value is to add this data to this texture, to this layer that you have here. So you'll have to multiply that effect. Nothing changed because it is currently at 100%. But what if you put, let's say, 150? You will see that effect becoming really more pronounced. So find the value that really fits your feeling for what is nice. I will leave it at 100% because I feel it's really nice the way it is. Let's just enable shadows and we will see the complete result with shadows. And remember, shadows will always darken the transparent object a bit. Okay? That's really important. But they will add volume and a sense of 3 dimensions.